You see, we have the appropriate podcast microphones for such a thing.
Podcasting microphone.
Can everyone hear us? Can everyone see us? Is everything functioning as one would hope it to be?
It is just catching up.
Massive thank you to the legend that is BV for being with us today and moderating in the chat and doing all of the wonderful things that he does. So thank you, buddy. Hope you're all amazing. Yes, and we have Lizzie on the knobs.
Hello.
Yeah, you said that.
It's just still not kicking in at the moment. I'm just going to refresh.
What's happened?
Just check
Yay.
it's there.
Oh, you're feeling stressed. Oh, you're feeling stressed.
Now you know it. Now you know it. Welcome to my night. Now welcome to my night where, hey, I'm feeling stressed. This is how I live. I live in a constant state of stress.
Yeah.
And my cortisol level is rising fast.
Skying high.
The Wi-Fi's having a moment now.
Oh, brilliant.
Cortisol.
Did you know that when you get to a certain age, you shouldn't run anymore?
There we are. We're there. We're
Are we
there.
doing it again?
We're there.
Because it's not good for your cortisol things. Weights is always good, but doing loads of cardio. at a certain age- Cardi no.
Okay, well, we have 38 people with us.
Awesome. Hey, everyone.
We've got Andrew Jones. We've got Richard. Good morning from Florida. Sunny and 32 degrees. No need for that.
Listen,
Well, it's
I
degrees there.
was in Miami at some point last year.
Yeah,
Florida is awesome.
I've never been.
It is
never been.
brilliant. I don't know. I've spent my time in Miami. Man alive.
Yeah.
That was so great. So great. But yes, welcome.
Hello.
All the Floridians and
Floridians.
Americidians and Australidians.
Nice.
And
all
Jim
of the-
from Devices.
And
He's on.
all right, my babs. All right, Jem from Devices.
We've got Scott Curry in Boston.
Yes. More
Big
than a
up the Bruins.
feeling.
Tom Poynton in Bristol.
Right.
Justin Charbonneau. Litos Mendes. Nathan from Albany. Jonas from Seattle. All over the place.
All the people.
Lovely.
People.
Lovely.
So many
yes.
people.
So welcome, everyone. What we're going to do, or what we're going to attempt to do, yes, you're live. Seeing and hearing is great. We can hear you. Hurrah. Wonderful.
Yay.
Okay.
For you.
Right. We have now moved to Thursdays for various reasons. One, I find Wednesday quite a sad day. It's an inverted smile for me for Wednesday.
Oh,
No, but yeah, and I like Thursdays, and this feels nice on a Thursday. But the other thing is, now on every odd occasion, I will be filming TPS on Tuesdays and Wednesdays,
Right.
to try and get a concerted effort getting a load of videos done in 2 days.
sure.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, if that's going to be happening, let's make it more consistent, and we'll do this on Thursdays. Also, next week we have our big launch,
You're not ready. You're just not ready.
and
I
I needed another day.
I was thinking, were we going to tell the people? Because that means we have to do it. So
We
we'll
are telling the
tell
people.
We're
We're
doing
launching.
it.
Yeah,
We're doing it.
we'd never
So-
confirmed a date, had we? We've done it now. Look what we've done.
Have we not confirmed a date?
Now
No,
we
I
have.
haven't
Well,
told them.
guess what?
I told the people.
Now we're telling the people. Next week, Thursday the
27th.
yes, Thursday
Yeah.
the 27th.
Go on, Jake.
Well done.
Calendar, because I know dates.
Go on, Karen.
Thursday the 27th, we will be launching the new GigRig product that has been years in development. It's a really big deal, and we'll be launching it on Chat TGR. So for all you beautiful people that want to come and see it and ask us questions about it, that's what will be happening. After next week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to find questions in the chat. So if you have any questions about GigRig stuff, please put it in the chat, and we're going to look for some questions that we can answer. And every week we're going to take a minute to actually show you stuff live and play through it and show you how it sounds and how it works. If you've got questions about MIDI or parallel or whatever, put them in the chat and we will get to it, and we'll actually do demonstrations of stuff for a specific segment of the show.
Wunderbar.
Yeah. How does that sound to you?
I'm beyond excited.
Yeah, wonderful. G Barge is on. G'day, mate.
Go on, G-Budge.
Says, am I going to have to remake my board again? Well, we'll see.
Oh, oui.
We'll see.
Yeah.
See.
So Litos and Mendez says, I demand an episode about Jake and Joe's pedal boards.
Okay.
We can possibly do that in the near future.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We actually did do some shows on your pedal boards, but it's probably changed.
Yeah, because it's been longer than a week ago.
I was going to say probably changed. It literally changes weekly.
Zuta Lewis says, more TPS, more GigRig, more gooder. Good on you, mate. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Oh, you beautiful people. Oh, I love coming on and seeing everyone's come just to hang out with us. It's so nice.
So good.
Yeah. Okay, Lizzie, any questions that we should get going with?
We have got a couple.
Okay, let's do it.
From Andrew Jones, running wet dry with G3S, how can I run reverbs and delay in the wet amp effects loop? I want drives to both amps and wets into the wet amp effects loop only.
Okay, so this is a question that we get a lot about using things in the effects loop. And here's how we do it. If you're running wet dry, but you're running the preamp of one amplifier. So effectively, what you want to do is have your wet effects in one amplifier and not in the other. What that means is if you put your effects loop in a loop, a normal loop of G3, what that means is your signal's going to go in. Let's say you put your amps effects loop in loop 5 of G3. So the send from G3, the loop 5 of G3 goes to the input of the amplifier, and the effects send from the amplifier comes back into the return of loop 5 of G3. Now when you turn on that loop, the amp's preamp will be in that loop. And G3 has been designed to be able to take your preamp and line levels. The headroom is off the charts. So, no problem. Stick the amps effects loop in there. We're all good. Think of it as just another pedal. Right, so now we have our amps effects loop in there, and the signal goes downstream. If you want to do wet dry using an amps effects loop, what you want to do then is split the signal, go into your reverbs on one side and not on the other. You go out of output 1 into the effects return of your amplifier, out of output 2 into the effects return of another amplifier. You're using a single preamp to feed both effects loop returns. What you can do then, though, and this is the way Andy Timmons does it, you can have your stereo effects using a single preamp, outputs 1 and 2 into the effects returns of both amplifiers. The really cool thing about doing it this way, you have 3 options. You can do standard stereo, you can do parallel, so putting your reverbs and delays in kill dry parallel into both. It is a behemoth tone. Or you can choose delays to go into one amplifier, reverb to go into another. The flexibility is quite amazing. I think it's possibly we have done parallel before, doing the method that we're going to start doing week after next. But if anyone would like any more, wants us to do that again, or has specific questions about how that works, let us know and we will go into it deeper.
I think it's always worth going through amps effects loops anyway, because it's such a misunderstood thing. It's named so in a way that a lot of people don't understand how simple it can actually be.
Yeah.
So I think that's a useful thing.
One issue that tell me, Anthony Edwardson says, hi all, late on parade. G'day mate and welcome. Thanks for popping in.
Yo.
Thanks for stopping by.
Hello.
So Darren Ames says, hey Dan, Jake and Joe and Lizzie, great to see you all. Question.
Hey dude.
Is there any difference in power draw, current draw between G3 and G3S. Thank you. It's very slight.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
Very slight.
Not drastic.
Yep. The
screens
are so efficient. So yeah, it's very slight. But yeah, if you compare a G3, you compare a G3S. And Brian Carpenter says, I'm taking delivery of a QMX today. I'm very excited.
Amazing.
Hey.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you, mate. That's amazing. Music Therapy Laz, hello, you legend. Oh, mate. So Music Therapy Laz was one of the parties responsible for the Z80 that I'm currently rocking with
Cool,
huge force. And yeah, I was having some fun with that a couple of days ago. It's a beast.
Yeah,
it is a beast of an amplifier.
Oh no, I have seen it.
You have seen
You
it.
had it when you had it.
Yeah, no, it's
right.
great.
Brian Carpenter did just have a question along with the delivery of the QMX8. He said, putting it on a D'Addario sorry.
Okay.
What's your recommendation for dealing with the staggered height of the two halves of this board when mounting it?
The D'Addario expand board. Okay, so anyone that doesn't know, D'Addario make this pedal board that expands. Basically, you've got 3 tubing bits of metal, and on one side, the tubes are a little bit smaller, and they
go in.
They sheathe
nice.
into the D'Addario.
Great.
And so you can release them and make it longer. But as Brian has correctly stated, the heights on the bases there is a little bit. So
on the wonk.
This is where pedalboard tape comes into its own. Because you can stack pedalboard tape and it's very rigid. So if you've got a height mismatch, the pedalboard tape will sort it out. Failing that, we have started to use this gel tape. Nanograb.
Yeah.
And we sell it in the store, and it is just wonderful.
It's like the strongest thing that's ever existed.
And it might be that I don't know how big the lip is, but it might be that a bit of, if you've got pedalboard tape on one side, it might be that a bit of nanograb underneath one side of the pedalboard tape would lift it up a little bit and keep that flat as a sausage.
Nice.
Like that?
So
yeah. Roadhouse.
Anyone else? Lily Bet?
From Litos Mendez, do you guys have an alternative to the Digitech Supernatural Reverb?
No.
The Digitech Supernatural
That's
Reverb.
a really interesting question.
Okay, so
what has it got?
Is that not? That's the hardwire.
Yeah, that's the
Digitech hardwire.
Yeah.
Okay,
the black one.
right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little story about a man named Jed. I've got that. I bought it when I found out that they have the original, not Eventide, the original
Lexicon?
algorithm from Lexicon in there. It's the actual algorithm in there. And I was like, oh, super, super excited. And I couldn't make it work with my gear. This is years ago when they first came out. I went, what's going on? I've got latency.
Right.
The latency in there just doesn't match up. And that's how we got into, it was a part of that process. But the reverb is astonishing, just beautiful. But I don't think you can kill dry. So the question is, what alternative to the Supernatural? My favourite reverb at the moment, having had schwang of it in Oklahoma recently, is the Zoma by Keeley.
Right.
Sure.
Got to hear this thing. It's beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
I always get nervous when you say that.
Right.
Because I need to sell some organs.
No, it's just I think what Robert and his team are doing at the moment. I've known Robert for many years, and he's always been saying, "Come out and see what we're doing." And so before NAMM, I thought I'll go a few days earlier and go and see Robert. And his capacity and what his team are able to do in-house is incredible.
Yeah, amazing.
And also Aaron, who's Robert's right-hand man, and you know, Rob can play. Aaron, oh my word, is a monster, and he's got pixie ears, and he's a big part of that development team. But then with Creighton and forgive me, I forget the software engineer's name, but they are just on fire, absolutely on fire. And anyway, so I think that's wonderful. You've got some really good standalone things. If you're doing mono stuff, Dark World.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dark World.
Chase Bliss Dark World
has been discontinued, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you can, but as is the Supernatural, so you can find one of those. But
I was going to say the MXR reverb.
Oh, that's great.
Which is great. I think.
That's really great.
Oh no, the actual just MXR reverb.
MXR reverb.
I see.
The little,
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're about.
The Mercury 7, if you want to do cinematic stuff.
Yeah, Mercury 7's brilliant. I mean, it's the Strymon stuff. They're all really good. If what you're after is just a simple reverb in a similar vein as the Supernatural, try out the Keeley. It's pretty special.
Wunderbar.
Pretty special.
Wunderbar.
Okay, right. 17 minutes in.
Yeah, so exactly what I was just checking.
Yes. And BV says, as does the Polara. Yes, uses the same thing. There you go.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Okay. And Darren Ames says, quick follow-up. Am I correct in assuming the correct way to power my G3 with G3S top board is to run a cable directly from a distributor to the G3S? Thanks. You absolutely can do that. If you're in what I discovered the other day, we were filming and we just had lights and stuff everywhere, and I was getting this tiny bit of noise, and I just put a Mr. Universe on the G3S, and it was perfect.
Even more.
But for 99% of applications, just straight from a distributor. If you are running it straight from a distributor, make sure that everything else is isolated, and you'll be golden. There we go.
As golden as the Meris Enzo X.
Okay, so right. I sent the boys an email text alert. I got notification from Meris, and it was like really late.
Yeah.
And I sent it to you, and then seconds back, I got a message from both of you going, I know, I've already been looking at this, and I'm so excited.
It's not often you get a text from your boss at about 9:30 at night, and you go, holy moly, I am excited by this.
Yes. So let's take a step back before we get there. You guys have both been using this, which is the Meris Enzo. So if we go camera 2, we can see the Meris Enzo, and you can see how well worn this thing is.
And I tell you what as well, I'll let you into a little secret. I lost one of the knobs, and I've shoved something else on it. So if you see, if I turn it like that, you'll see he's really long.
Nice.
But I love this thing. It is just wonderful. It sounds absolutely amazing. It's so well designed. What I really like with it is using CC messages, you can separate the effects built in. So not only is it a crazy synth engine, but it's also my octave pedal. It's also a delay pedal.
It's your wah pedal as well.
It's my wah. Yeah, I use the filtering stuff to do a wah pedal. Yeah. It's become such a Swiss Army knife and a toolbox for me.
I love seeing how used it is.
Yeah, I have abused that poor little guy.
So I've got a question then. You've also put the did Meris make the
the overlay?
The overlay. Okay, so because every knob has got 17 functions, and that Meris do an overlay so that you can put it on it and you can see what the hidden function is.
The left LED above the foot switch, that's an alt, like an alt function. You hold it down and everything has an extra thing.
Right.
But it was always a job of getting up the manual, looking through and trying to remember what each parameter was. So that was, I think they sell them for like a tenner. Yeah. And it's from Meris. But it's great.
But it completely changed the game when it came out. It's like the original Enzo is completely unreal. The best tracking of pretty much any pedal I've.
Really?
The tracking is unbelievable.
Okay.
You can play like full bass chords and it's fine. Takes it.
As it's a filter, I'm assuming it's completely digital. I'm assuming there's no analog dry.
I couldn't tell you for gospel, but I would assume it's all digital.
Okay.
Yeah, because you've got like how many different filter types? It says around the.
Yeah.
You've got like 2 different low pass, 2 different band pass. So I'm assuming it's digital. Otherwise, it would have to be bigger to do analog.
I just meant if there's an analog dry through.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming it might be. But anyway, that's fine. So the question I've got is, I've heard the sounds you get out of this. When I look at what you do with the Zoya, at least you've got a screen and lights that say, I'm now on this sound.
Because one of my gripes, and I say it very softly with this pedal, is you can accidentally overwrite presets. With the Alt, if you press and hold the Alt for too long without doing anything else, that's the save. So
okay.
Just alone the idea of the X having the screen and being let out easier to interpret, I think that alone is a game changer, because exactly that, it not having a screen.
I may or may not have overwritten some pretty important presets on Jake's
You
Enzo.
overwrit my wah preset, and we were playing a function gig, and we started playing like Moves Like Jagger by Maroon 5, and I started hitting that, and I had this ring mod ambient reverb thing, and I was like, that's not right, Everyone looks at me like, what you doing? I look at Joe like, you know what you've done.
I can see Claire's face. I'm looking at you going.
I'm playing the rest of the song looking up, like hoping no one's looking at me. Yeah, but that is my, and I say that lovingly, gripe with that pedal, is that it's easy to accidentally do that.
So, sonically, there is so much more in this thing than you might initially think.
100%.
Yeah,
right?
Compressor, oscillators, filter, ring mod,
delay.
Really?
Yeah. Octaves? You say octaves?
Yeah, octaves. Yeah, because if you have the dry setting, there's a built-in compressor.
Okay, that's really cool.
Unbelievable.
So, I wonder if they always knew the Enzo was going to be the next in the X series.
Yeah.
Because having heard what you do with yours, which is extensive, I guess it would make sense
to expand on that.
To expand on it, but the addition of a screen.
Oh.
Why did they stop it? The addition of a screen.
Yeah.
That will solve all the problems.
Yeah, exactly. Because they bless them. They do a mod in the later ones. You need to send it off to get it done. It's not something you could do remotely, because I have a relationship with Logan at Meris. I'm like, go on, tell me how to do it, because I don't want to send it off and be away with it.
Right.
But there is a way to change, and they've changed it in the later ones, how to do the save function, because I guess a lot of people were like, oh, I'm constantly overwriting it. But the screen, is game changer. And the foot switch stuff, what I really like about on the X is that it's got like, and you might be able to tell me with the LVX if it's the same, it's got like a bonus foot switch that you can program to do whatever you want it to be.
And then the dials on the front are also, you've got 2 dials that you can
assign what you want it to be.
It's easier to. The Mercury X has that.
Right, cool.
The LVX, I think it's a little bit different, the delay engine. But I ran out of talent with that pedal. So we had one of the experience days we have at TPS, we had a young lad called Simon, and burped again.
Burpee time.
So astonishing. So it was really interesting. The LVX, I've been wrestling with this for a few weeks, and then he pops up with this on his board. I'm like, how are you getting on with it? He goes, oh, it's magical. And he starts playing the stuff through it. And I was floored. Really musical guy. And the stuff that was coming out was emotional.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Really emotional. But he had done what you've done, which is get into the weeds and spent so much time with it to truly understand what's going on. I don't know if, not that I don't have the capacity to do it, most of my questions tonally have been answered about what I want to do. I still love exploring. So one of the great fun things to do with the LVX is just go through the presets.
Yeah.
Noel Gallagher style. Just find the preset. And I do it for hours. It's magic and disappear. How you get to any of that stuff, I found difficult. But when you found a thing like that you just sonically connect with and you can really get into it.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Meris stuff, because they sound so good. That before the CXM came out, the Chase Bliss CXM 1978, before that came out, we'd had loads of reverb pedals on the show. The very first ever TPS was with the Strymon Big Sky.
Sure.
And we're just talking about reverb concepts. And we've had loads on the show. And then we get sent this Meris, you mentioned it before, what's it called? The
Mercury 7.
The Mercury 7. We're going through these reverb pedals and turn this thing on. It was like, wow. And I said on the air, I said, this is the best reverb pedal I've ever heard.
Wow.
Until
they teamed up with Chase Bliss.
Until the CXM came out. And I'm like, who did this? Look on the back.
Of course.
Meris.
We always reference that pedal because when we were working on G3 and Atom, you would put that on your board, and there was a good.
That was the prototype of it as well.
It might have been, yeah. It was a good couple of weeks of you going, guys, you need to hear this, and me and Jake going,
headphone amps, and you'd be like, "Here's
please don't show us it, please."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and you just going, no, stop what you're doing. This is unbelievable. This has changed.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. But that's all to say, the capacity that Meris have sonically to get things right is beautiful. Their software engineering team, it's just, for me, it takes the potential, the stuff that you can do is incredible if you're willing to get into it.
Them,
into the weeds. It's not as intuitive as a timeline.
Of course,
right? It just isn't.
Yeah, definitely.
But you can, the stuff that you can do in this thing will run rings around timeline.
I don't want to be rude.
That's right.
But we're at 5:30. I don't know if we need to just make sure we get everything in.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
Mum. This was my love.
So anyway, the boys are very, very excited about
It's just redefined how we look at effects pedals. Genuinely, the hours that me and Jake have spent genuinely talking about the Enzo and the Zoya. You have to mention the Zoya because everything I do is related around the Zoya. But genuinely, it's redefined how we look at effects pedals.
Amazing.
That pedal.
Yeah. So well done, Meris.
Yeah, agreed.
We'll get an X and have some fun.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll bring it in, and you can have a play, and then I'll take it away again.
Can I genuinely just say that when the news broke of it, right? We both felt the same way.
I know what you're going to say.
When the news broke of it, Jake, for the entire day, just kept sighing really loudly. He just kept walking around and going, and be like, "You're right, man." He just go, "Yeah, the Enzo X."
Right, there you go. So, yeah, well done, Meris.
Yeah.
Well done for making him sigh. Okay, we're going to quickly look at a couple of other things that have been out this week. We have JHS
coming through with the 3 series.
From the ridiculous to the sublime to the ridiculous, then all the way back again.
Yeah, too
and
right.
around the tree and through the hole. Pull the knot. This I mean, it's no surprise, really, that JHS have released some of the new 3 series. Yeah. There's 2 delays and a flat.
A flicking them.
Yes. What is it? What's the other one?
Rotary chorus.
Rotary chorus. Okay. Right.
Oil can delay
Oil can delay.
and
Tape delay.
tape delay.
Yeah. Rotary chorus.
Rotary.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've had a bunch of the 3 series pedals on, and they all sound great. These are 80 quid. 80
insane.
quid.
It's just silly. That's just silly.
I think it's what I like about it is it's from someone designed these who A, we know, B, we know loves pedals, and we know they're going to sound great.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
stands
boy.
behind his stuff.
Yeah.
It's 80 quid. And we just
I
can't.
genuinely don't think I've ever played a JHS pedal that doesn't sound cool.
I agree.
I can't think of one. I was just trying to think of one I didn't really vibe with, but
Okay.
every single one is a vibe.
I've vibed with most of them,
Sure.
but I've got all of them. Because you don't expect to. Well,
I'm joking.
you don't expect to connect. If you've got a lot
Sure,
of pedals,
of
don't
course,
expect
of
to connect
course,
with
yeah.
everything.
And I will say as well, whenever there's a JHS mod on something,
Yeah.
that's always the best sounding thing. That switch is
Yeah.
always on, no matter what it is, or if
Yeah.
it's like, the multi muff or the multi rats or the tube screamers.
Yeah.
It's always the JHS one. They're like, yeah.
That and what's the DoD 250
Oh,
version they had?
yeah.
And the JHS
Yeah.
on that one was really great.
Yeah.
oh, what was that called? Doesn't matter. You know what it is. It looks like the
Yeah,
250.
actually, no,
I
it
know
was the JHS one. It was the Ross. It was the
Yeah,
Ross
the
yeah,
new
yeah.
Ross thing.
Of
yeah.
course.
So anyway,
Yeah.
they're out now. There's some
80
really
quid.
great demos on the
The YouTubes.
tubes of you, and yeah, go and check those out. And finally, this is the Florist by Benson. Now this is
Benson.
a
Benson.
different colorway. Is that correct?
Yeah.
There we go, Benson. Check it out. Check it out. So we had Chris on the show last year, and what a lovely chap. Such a talented guy. Really wonderful set of ears and has a sound that he hears. He had the Florist with him then, and it was, let me get this right, there's something about the depth of the chorus or whatever, you can assign it, that follows an envelope.
So it's based
envelope.
off of the Slow Loris by Non-Human Audio,
Yes.
which is
It's-
a modulated slapback
Right.
that's based on how hard you play.
Yes.
Right.
And the Florist is 2 of those delay lines, modulating slightly differently, so you can get everything from like weird seasick to like 3/0 flanging if
Right.
you line
Cool.
them up properly, so you can get kind of weird modulation-y.
Because it's
Yeah.
a collaboration between
Yeah.
the two, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, cool.
It's a really cool sound.
And it's now in yellow.
There you go. And it's now in yellow. There was loads of other pedals released, I'm sure, but these two,
All we've talked
all
about.
they've had eyes for is the Enzo.
Constantly.
If anyone wants a kidney,
I'm selling both of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, it's very, very cool. And as well, I'm about to dob us in. We forgot to look at Lurch Audio. Someone recommended us to check them out, and we forgot to check them out.
Oh,
I've
right.
just remembered
oh
that.
no, I looked at it right after the show, but that was so long ago, my brain doesn't hold information.
With
Okay.
us coming up to this product launch, it's chaos here, isn't
Yes.
it? Ladies and gents, it's...
It is, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I don't know what you mean. It's been so relaxed.
You've been crying
Yeah, listen, why are you crying?
Has she?
constantly.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 She's
Oh,
dehydrated.
boy.
That's how much she's been
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait to tell them all. Can't wait for next week.
It's so good. I'm so excited. Finally.
I'm looking forward to getting it done, getting the launch done,
Yeah.
and
Don't give it away.
no, I'm really trying
So
hard.
hard.
I'm trying hard not to give it away.
Being able to
I'm
use
just
the
looking
coffee
forward-
machine.
Yeah. I am so excited just about showing everyone the potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
it's wild.
It's very
G3S
exciting.
owners, don't worry. You're all good.
They will be compatible with G4 that is coming next week.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The amount of
That's not
friends
funny.
that have said that to me, like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not G4,
yeah.
is it? It's like, I don't think any of us could stomach hearing
No.
that word in the office at the moment.
No.
It might end
No.
us.
Yeah, it's so far off.
Okay.
Anyway.
What
Any
we
more
saying?
questions? We've got 128 people hanging out
Hello,
with us today.
128 people.
Fantastic.
Thank you
we
so
have
much.
a whole heap of questions.
Go on.
Yes,
Go.
okay, let's go.
So we'll start with Tom Blues Power. Hi everyone. Any tips for soldering cables using the Eminence tiny connectors? Tiny plugs, so tiny space in there for big fingers.
Okay,
Small solder tip.
small solder tip,
And long.
and
Be patient.
it's this. So here's okay. Can I have my gripe, my solder gripe?
Something to gripe away, sir.
I don't know if you are able to do this. You may be. My suggestion would be, as a hobbyist, get some leaded solder,
Controversial.
turn the temperature down on the iron. When all of these cables were designed, they weren't designed for non-leaded solder,
Yeah.
which the heat, you've got to be so much higher. So it's okay if you are an experienced solderer and you can get in
One
and
more
get
time.
out, solderer,
Yep.
and you can get in and get out quickly. But if
Like a ninja.
the non-leaded stuff, and it's important that, you know, we need to get rid of lead and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely. You
And I
know,
guess the opposite point of that as well, that if you are trying to use lead-free solder with a soldering iron that's been in your garage for 30 years or your dad's
yeah,
passed
that's
on to you
right.
or whatever,
That's
they
right.
don't get hot enough to melt it.
Yeah.
So get yourself a decent variable voltage soldering iron. I mean, you can pick them up pretty cheap
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
On
You need a decent soldering iron.
yeah,
otherwise it's-
they just don't get hot
anyway.
enough. Those the ones that everybody has in their garage that's sort of tenor from B&Q, that's a plug and a
Yeah.
soldering iron.
Don't
They
use
just
that.
don't get hot enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tips are like this big.
yeah. But, you know, I've been using leaded solder my whole life and my kids are gorgeous. So
You heard it here first.
I
Cough blood a lot though, like a lot.
And you do
but-
fit sometimes.
so anyway,
Oh, we can't promote
my if you are inexperienced with soldering,
Oh, he's gone blind.
you it might be worthwhile getting a little bit of leaded solder and just be in a well ventilated space and having a go with that first. I think for inexperienced people using unleaded solder, the tip only has to be rest on the cable a little bit too long. It melts through, you got a short circuit and you've got to start again. With the tiny connectors as well, you're going to be using thin diameter cable. And that stuff is tricky.
Yeah.
If you hit that up too much, it's
Yep.
yeah. So practice. Yes, practice. But I will say the new Evidence Audio mini plugs, fantastic.
You haven't brought them in yet.
Yeah, you haven't brought them in.
Haven't I?
No.
I haven't seen them.
Okay, I will bring them in. They
Fantastic.
are well groovy. They do a TRS cable that has a single hole for a single cable for its, you know, for a three.
Blah,
To that. But then they have another one that has space for two cables. When you want to, the hole is for two
Like,
mini cables.
so
So,
you can
in
do a
case you can do
Y
Y cable.
cable.
Y cable.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that is
like
good. That
a
is
lot.
good.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, evidence.
they've been listening to the people.
Oh, evidence.
Very good.
Should we do a
So
level
That
up
should be their
evidence now?
advert.
Someone's just clipped on this, like,
That
on
was
YouTube
great.
and gone, what they're discussing, like cable part. This is interesting.
Just sometimes, you know, it's a little thing.
That is wonderful. That makes
Yeah,
me
it's
genuinely
really
happy.
great. Really, really
Okay.
clever. Scott Carris says practice soldering. Absolutely. There
Lizzie,
we go.
have you got
Okay.
them lined up?
I do.
Right. All right, Lizzie.
So from Bagger Tweed, long-time G2 user here, advice to sort out a sticky foot switch only happens randomly. Is there a contact cleaner or alternative you recommend that won't break it, or is it time for an upgrade?
Well, can I say time for an upgrade? But
Zoom.
if it's a sticky foot switch, just try gently twisting the top of the foot switch, and 9 times out of 10 that will sort it out.
And we do have the foot switch upgrade still available.
Oh, for the G2s, do we? Okay, there we go. So, yeah, if for any reason that doesn't sort it out, we can upgrade the foot switches for you. I didn't know we had them still available. That's great.
Still on the website,
Still
so you can order
There you
them.
go. Still
Another one down.
From Square Wave Symphonies, when I use my totality distortion in parallel with my rad sickness, I get high-pitched whistle from the former. Both are isolated and in separate G3S loops. What am I missing? Thanks in advance.
Okay, try turning on the pre-gain. So here's what happens. Remember that G3S, the loops are passive, right? They are transparent. There's nothing going on. They're direct DC connections to your pedals. Now, when you split the inputs to those pedals, the inputs are sharing the load. So what happens with, like, impedance wise, they're going to share the impedance. If you've got a pedal that has a low impedance, it's going to, well, it might not necessarily play nice with the other pedal you're trying to split to. And if they're wildly different, then it can be a problem. The quickest solution, just turn on the pre-gain and it will drive any impedance issues and you'll be sorted.
Ta-da.
Oosh.
Yep.
2 minutes.
Thank
That's
you.
it. Amazing.
From Gary Gallagher, love you guys and your chats. Running 2 Kingsley
you.
preamp pedals in parallel with Wetterbox into effects return, yay or nay?
Yeah, vibe.
Full yay.
Can I just say, Jeff McElwain has joined us. He's in the chat. And hope you're doing well, buddy. I caught up with him very briefly at NAMM, and beautiful human. I think a lot of us have a debt of gratitude to Jeff, who's wonderful tuition stuff. And yes, thanks for popping by,
swinging by,
Sunshine.
baby.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. Thanks so much. How cool. Here we go. And Jeff McElwain says, "Hey Danico, how do you like the Ampero MIDI switcher for the timeline?"
That's what you chucked on Robin's board, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Robin needed access to 4 presets. It was thin and but it was okay. The app is actually quite useful. It connects with Bluetooth. And for what Robin needed, perfect.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've seen a lot of people using them with the Kemper player
Sure.
pedal, expanding that.
Yeah, and they
Good.
cost
Yeah.
like 27p.
That's
Amazing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Lizzie asked a question, and then
I
you
saw
got
it,
distracted with
So,
Jeff.
2 preamps into a Wetterbox, preamp pedals into a Wetterbox, into
So
a
sorry,
power
I
amp.
thought you answered that, but I
Vibe.
was way...
Yeah,
I was
Yeah, I was just making sure that wasn't me.
ADHD. Sorry, can you answer it?
Yes,
It
it's a
sound
vibe.
good.
It's a massive vibe. I do similar thing with
And I England well
and I
speak.
England with a B7K and a like amp in a box distortion. Sounds massive.
Yeah, I
Upset people.
one
in a
of
good
one of
way.
the things I'm most excited about with the Wetterbox is that having 2 random gain stages and just messing around with it, and you find some wicked combinations.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think it's a very, very cool thing.
It's such a cool thing.
Yeah,
Do it all the
Coolio.
time. Love it.
coolio.
From Nathan, we've got, hi there. I get a significant volume drop when plugging valve preamp pedals, Kingsley Victoria, into my Boogie Cali Tweeds FX loop compared to doing the same with other amps. Do you know why?
Yes, because all effects loops are not created equal. You have there are active effects loops, passive effects loops. I mean, to be honest, one of the reasons I don't use effects loops, I don't use the gain from the front of the amplifier, but I just find them too random. So, and a case in point with what's going on with your effects loop, I believe that it's a passive effects loop. Okay, quick history lesson. Back in the day,
On the 6th day, effects loops were created.
on the 4th day, but so when effects loops first started happening, and they were passive effects loops, the amps were there, and then they had the racks, and there was a tiny bit of cable little patch cable going from the. Now we've got these pedal boards that are 30 feet away.
Yeah.
And it has a massive impact on the tone. So, and why? Because the impedance of, so where you normally split for the effects loop is pre-phase inverter, right? Because your phase inverter needs to then split the signal to drive the power stage. So pre-phase inverter, you've got the output of, the last preamp valve before the phase inverter. It's meant to drive that much cable. It's like, and it like not even cable, like whatever.
Yeah.
Just they never imagined for a second that they'd need to drive these huge amounts of coax cable. So it was never a consideration. And when they created these effects loops, so basically what it does is the effects loop breaks the circuit between the preamp and the feed in for the power amp. It's, the passive ones sound great. Part of the reason that we did, a massive part of the reason that we did the underliner is that it takes your preamp's effects loop and just it gets all the impedances right, so you can have your pedal boards, way down stage,
Down yonder.
and it doesn't mess with them. But some
do not.
some. Long story short, long story even longer. All pedal, no effects loops are created equal. So just try this. Grab the output of your preamp pedal and plug it into a patch cable and put that in the effects loop return of the amplifier. Get rid of the cable and just see if it makes a difference. If it does, then try putting a low impedance pedal directly after the preamp and see if that solves the problem. And then, same thing with the input. It's an impedance thing. You could have just said it's an impedance thing and saved us all the bother.
Good on you.
Yeah. Sorry, Lizzie.
No, that's great. From Rob Strat 86, I don't have all the pedals for my board build yet. Can you build the board with all the cables if I gave you the signal path and board layout?
In theory, yes, but I would be so stressed because it's just very easy to get that stuff slightly wrong if you don't have physically the pedals there.
Yeah.
And mapping out your
I
layout.
would be stressing.
So what I would say that is possible, I remember I was doing Andy Timmons' pedal board and he told me all the pedals that he was using. And we've done it before. We've got those pedals and we've lined everything up and done the cables. And so I flew out to Germany, but this is back when what was the big German trade show? What was that called? Music Messe. That's when that was a thing. And just quickly took the pedals off his old board and shoved them on there, and away we went. So you can do it. We
did that for Liam Gallagher's guitar player as well. Do you remember?
Yes.
We went to London. We did it for
That's
Mike Moore.
right, yeah.
And then literally they all dipped out to grab some dinner, and then we quickly
had to run them over,
and then
and pedalboard was done.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It's always, we like having the boards in.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of absolutely stunning boards around us at the moment. And we need to make sure that everything's powered properly and, but it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah, but it's just more ideal if we have the pedals here because also sometimes caveats appear. You know, pedals that are spec something with their power consumption, plug it in, turns out it needs more power, or it's slightly noisier and it needs more isolation, so it's just easier if we've got everything here.
We got Hobo Roadie in the chat as well, apparently.
Hobo Roadie!
Hobo Roadie was the other half of facilitating my Dr. Z.
If anyone wants to facilitate a Enzo X, I'm willing. And
Don't.
Or two.
We've got Simon. I have a Fender Supersonic 60-watt amp. It has an effects loop and want to confirm plugging the pedals into that loop will lower the volume. That amp is loud.
Just one more time. He's got a Supersonic 60.
Yeah.
Astonishing amplifier. Kudos to you, good sir. Chapeau.
It has an effects loop and want to confirm plugging the pedals into that loop will lower the volume.
Plugging what pedals into the loop?
He did not confirm.
Okay, so
Doomsaw and a HM2.
Yes.
Okay, two things. You need whatever you plug into that loop, and I don't know the voltage out, the dB out of the send, but if the preamp is turned up, there's going to be quite a lot of signal coming out of that. You need to make sure whatever you put in the loop can handle the input, can handle the amount of signal. And that's when we get to the line level, instrument level things. So I've had plenty of amps with effects loops that cannot handle line level, that line level pedals don't work. My Matchless, I once tested that, had 30 volts
Really?
on the preamp.
What?
I mean, it was just, that's why we designed the underliner to handle 34 volts.
I remember the Matchless being
So I can put the
test
Matchless
amp
in.
for it.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's huge.
But
30 volts.
if you got a Tweed amp with an effects loop, it's the same thing.
That's wild.
So now the Supersonic 60 won't have that issue, but the signal at the send of the effects on the effects loop will be large. So whatever you put in there, make sure it can handle that. And if it can handle that and you can turn the output down, then yeah, it's a great way to have a master volume and, yes. But if you just want to turn it down, grab an underliner, give yourself 2 extra master volumes, and then use the non-attenuated sound as your boost, and it's there you go. That would work brilliantly. And yes, the underliner will handle it.
Simon has, in response, said, Dan, if you and Mick want to play with it at TPS Towers, I'm happy for you to give it a go and compare it against other amps.
Oh, thank you, mate.
We have more. This one's a little bit different. I quite like it. From Airfire. At my guitar lesson last night, I was taught scale boxes in a way I've never been taught before. What's your most memorable teaching moment like that?
Okay, I've got one.
Go.
Right. So my final week of my music, when I was at the conservatorium, my final week of that course, and we had the legend Barry Morton teaching us, and I'd been having lessons from him since I was 14.
Go on.
And I was like 19 then at the con. And real sweet of a guy, genius, right? And it's the last week, and this is in Mackay in North Queensland, and it's very beautiful, very tropical. It's a really warm day. And Barry had his jazz guitar, and we'd be doing all this really full-on harmony stuff. Barry comes out and goes, "Hey man, listen to this." And he just plays a C chord. It's like, So what had happened, he'd gone from this like unbelievable harmony, and it all just sort of came back, and it's like, and what he's hearing is harmonics and overtones,
right,
and every possible thing in that scene. He just goes, that was like incredible. It was incredible because he's a genius.
That's
wild. That's right.
Yeah, that was a moment.
I'm searching my brain for a story. Nothing massively. I had lessons for about 6 months-ish. And then this was when I was 15, and then I just didn't really gel with my teacher. And then, I mean, I had a few with you at one point. I've had a few with a guitar player called Andy Groves, who plays in a band called Arcane Roots. That's one of my favourite bands.
Oh, yeah, they're
Yeah,
awesome.
so I've had some lessons with Andy.
That's
just
awesome,
sort
dude.
of focused on specific stuff. But I think for me, and I guess this ties into your point as well, is sometimes you can look much further ahead than you actually need to, and getting down like pick attack and accuracy and that foundation stuff, and seeing the forest for the actual trees they are,
Yeah,
opposed
sure.
to the entire forest, I think it's a really important point. And certainly for me, you know, again, pick attack I think is a very important one. You can take a fairly clean guitar tone, play softly, dig in, and then it's breaking up.
Yeah.
And that's just from literally how hard you're picking. And I think that's personally quite an important
dynamics.
thing that you don't
Yeah,
see.
for me it was when I was at college. We used to have drum and bass lessons, and there was Kevin Glasgow.
Did you all have your hands in your pockets? And,
Oh, yeah. Oh, ah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Love that. Well, the bass teacher was Kevin Glasgow,
Right.
He's just an insane 6-string bass player, sweeps and all kinds of stuff. And then the drummer, I can't remember his name right at this moment, but we used to have like random lessons where you'd be sat in a class and we were doing like metric modulation stuff, and they literally picked time signatures out of a hat, and it was like 15/16 and 13/16, and then they instantly just started jamming, one of them in 13, one of them in 15, like it was nothing.
Wow.
And like it was like every time we stepped in that room, your mind was completely just destroyed by these two people that are just like, I mean, Kevin Glasgow used to, on his way to work,
how'd the album do?
they never made an album. Too busy doing weird stuff. He used to transcribe Penderecki on the way to work.
Ah, okay. Nice. Yeah, cool.
I like you with the hood up.
I
You look scrappy.
You do.
Scrappy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, we'll just try and get.
Okay, Jay. That's every time I've been being a menace, Lizzie's been getting on with the new product stuff.
Yeah.
It's that okay. Like, okay, leave me alone.
Yeah.
From 2am the band, after a momentary tap foot switch to trigger our tracks from my board, will the FSM do the job? Also,
Yes.
thanks, Jake, for sending the t-shirt that I'm wearing.
I was
Hello.
going to say, we played,
Yeah.
friends of ours, we played with them the other week. at
Yeah.
2
Oh,
a.m.
cool.
Yeah.
Hi, Will.
Hello.
And he bought a t-shirt. I sent him a t-shirt the other day.
My other half recorded their last lot of music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Weird.
brilliant.
They will.
Yes, the FSM.
Yes, it
Done.
was
Foot switch momentary.
Nice.
And there's the FSL, foot switch latching.
lame.
Lame.
Hey, Mr.
Jack
Guitar...
Lane.
Should we put one more in?
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not?
This
Squeeze
is
it
from
in.
Hey, Mr. Guitarman. Looking fine as always is the opening.
Oh, thank you.
three. What are your thoughts on using external MIDI clocks in conjunction with MIDI controllers? Just exploring this route for quality of life reasons.
It's a vibe. Do it.
Whatever works for you, baby.
Do it. You sync everything together.
Yeah, I think it's a
Good
really
times.
nice, easy way to get everything to lock in together.
Yeah.
G3 equally has a built-in MIDI clock if you are using G3. So you could, like, I have a different bank per song. So then you can program that as well. And you could have per song, if you're playing to a click and want everything to line up, you can have per bank a different tempo being dumped. But if you want to do it on an external device and go through it as well, that's totally cool.
Done. Boom.
Thank you. Well,
Fabulous. There we
have
go.
reached the end.
Got anything to say, Mr. Hoodlum?
Sorry.
Got
Anything to say, Hoodlum?
Shut up, man.
Please join us next week.
Oh, it's a big one.
Yes.
Next
It's
week
so
is the
big.
big one.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work. We're very excited, and we just love you all to come and hang out with us, and love to see what you think.
Yes.
Be
It's
nice.
no, don't be nice. Be honest.
Honestly nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I've read this quote the other day, and it's changed my week.
Go on.
What did I say?
My job isn't to be nice. My job is to be honest. I'm not responsible for your reaction to the honesty.
Okay, well, in all honesty, Dan,
But you know what I mean?
yeah, no, totally.
And I'll tell you why.
Very valid point.
I was mixing something on the album of my EP, which is going to be, I've got one more song to do, it's done. And there's something in it that I think might upset some people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jake and Joe, you're fired!
Not upset some people, but there's something in there I think some people won't understand.
Right, okay.
Right? So upset was the wrong word. There's something in there that I think people are going to be confused about.
Okay,
And I'm like, actually,
doesn't matter.
that's not my job is to be true to that.
Is it a hip hop album?
It's drum and bass.
Okay, shall we say goodbye? Shall we say goodbye?
So, thanks everyone. We'll